Well, how about that? We never expected to be here maybe 15, 20 minutes earlier than we would have. Most importantly, we didn't expect the result to be the outcome it was. And thirdly, the person who performed it. A young man from Antigua, beautiful island with 365 beaches, thrown in the deep end, playing his first ever game, takes a wicket off his first ball in IPL cricket and then finishes with the best figures in the IPL. Figures that we'll remember with Anil Kumble in the Hero Cup way back when in 1993, took 6 for 12, and here again it was Alzarri Joseph with 6 for 12. What a performance, blowing away the Sunrisers Hyderabad. I think I'm in disbelief, as would my guest Joy Bhattacharjya, Michael Vaughan. Even if we saw the Sunrisers going down or finishing second best, the manner in which they did it, no one could have predicted.
Absolutely not. I mean, it's great for the young West Indian Quick. I think he's a terrific talent. Really pleased with the fact that the West Indies have just started to come to life. Look at a lot of the talent over in the Isles over there, and you know, I do think that the West Indies over the last 15 years we've kind of missed them. You know, they've kind of been around that kind of precarious position of will they ever get back to what they were in the 80s? Probably not, but I do think they're getting a group of young players of what we've just seen tonight that are going to make the West Indies. Will they become the world force potentially? Because they've got a group of young players now that if they stick together, and Jason Holder as a captain, I really do think the West Indies cricket are on the upward curve. And you have to say, from a Mumbai Indian perspective, it's a great win. From a Sunrisers perspective, that is a terrible chase. That is a mindset freeze. That's the kind of chase as a coach in the rooms now. I'll be thinking, what have you lot just done?
Maybe you're thinking back, at this point, we all talked about ifs and buts, and we said that dropped catch of Kieron Pollard when he was batting 8 of 11 balls. Mumbai were looking, they would have scratched their way to 110, 112. It would have been totally different from 136 with that feeling going into the dressing room.
No, absolutely. I think that catch was really, could prove to be a match differentiator. But the other thing is that, as he would have said, the coaches of SRH would have been mad because Alzarri Joseph bowled a very fine spell, but what he basically did was bowled fast, bowled on the stumps. What happened? Warner got out, he was chasing a ball wide, edged it on. Okay, 2 of the batsmen walked across their stumps and tried to hit it over and got bowled for their pains. So 3 of his 6 wickets were just the batsmen just gifted away at a situation where they needn't have gifted it away. And all credit to the young man, he bowled straight and fast and created those opportunities. But the fact of it is, if you have to ask whether he's weaseled these batsmen out or they have themselves to blame, it's far more themselves to blame.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right to point out the Pollard drop catch, but you'd expect to chase that score. As a batting unit, as a team with confidence like the Sunrisers are, not only this year but for the last few years, they're a team that know how to win. You know, when you're chasing that kind of total, you lose 2 early wickets in Bairstow and Warner, that middle order for the first time probably got put under pressure, and it failed miserably because they couldn't withstand the pressure, they couldn't have the skill to manoeuvre the ball into the gaps, and because they couldn't get the 1s and the 2s, they all had to go for these big shots. They all panicked and thought, right, we need a 6 or a 4 to try and get a bit of momentum going back our way, and it was the wrong option on that wicket. It just needed a little bit more of sense, it needed a little bit more of the lower risk style of cricket, as if you can play low risk cricket in T20 cricket. Tonight was a night where the Sunrisers needed to go down in the risk category and go, right, okay, we don't need to really go into the high risk. All right, the first 6, Warner and Bairstow tried that, you know, but once they got to 40, 50, it was just medium risk cricket, just knocking it around, working the gaps, creating a partnership. One partnership would have got them over the line, and they couldn't gather that one partnership.
Sounds strange to say that, but is it almost the fact that all those wonderful performances from Bairstow and Warner have actually cost them this game in a sense, because they were so confident, they get out, and these guys are like, oh, we haven't done this before. What are we supposed to do now?
No, absolutely. And what will depress them a lot is the way some of their senior batsmen got out. I mean, Manish Pandey today is an India cricketer. He's a senior batsman. He went round looking for the big shot, couldn't find it, and first chance he got, he hit it. Okay, he was unlucky, he hit it straight to the fielder. Yusuf Pathan has got out to the sweep or the slog sweep to the spinner 5 of the last 7 times. Every bowler knows that give it to him, let him try and drag it for you. He's either going to top edge it at some point or the other, or he's going to slog sweep it straight to mid wicket. And this happened 5 out of 7 times. Today's day of analysis, knowing it's not, and this is not technical analysis. It's like saying, mate, they're planting this at you. Don't do it early. Get yourself set. He got out on 0 trying that shot. And those are the kind of things that every coach will be looking at and say,
Michael, that's
God, the man has to listen.
That's not technical. That's the pain of a man who's seen it from the sideline.
Yeah, but it's also absolute sense, because the Sunrisers didn't lose that game tonight batting because of the skill of the opposing team's bowlers. They lost that game because of the way that they were thinking. You know, some of the shot selections were poor. All right, Chahar bowled some nice top spinners, but for the first time in the tournament, Johnny Bairstow lost complete shape. You know, that's not Johnny Bairstow. When he hits down the ground, he just keeps it down and he strikes through it. He was all over the place. You look at Warner for the first time in the whole tournament, you would say that he just completely lost shape. And that'll be a concern for Tom Moody, that his middle order, and it won't be the opening partnership that fires all the time. And particularly when Warner and Bairstow leave, you know, they've got an opening partnership to try and get going again, because you're going to have to rejig and start once again. So that middle order is going to have to come to the party. And for the first time in the tournament, as a coach, you'd be thinking, wait a minute, you're under pressure, go on. You're not even chasing a big target. Can you just play sensibly and win us the game? And they failed miserably at the first real attempt of being put under pressure. So that'll be disappointing for the Sunrisers management team. And
in a small sort of way, they did get off to a start. They did get 30 plus in 3 overs. They were looking like, oh my God, here we go again. We had our prediction 16th, 17th or 18th over. I was thinking, oh, there it goes, they're going to finish in 14. And suddenly maybe they were almost in a hurry to get things done.
Yeah. See, Warner was unlucky. That can happen. First ball, you're trying to hit it from outside, you drag it on, it happens. But, you know, Bairstow, his own downfall. Vijay Shankar, Manish Pandey, Deepak Hooda, what was he doing? 3 times he tried it. You know, 3 times he'd walked across the stumps and tried to hoik it out there. All that man had to do, Alzarri Joseph had to do, is keep bowling it straight out there and hope he misses one time. He did. And that's exactly what's happened. He's telegraphing his intentions so early on. And look, when do you try those shots? When the run rate is 15, 16, 17, you're going across your stumps and you're like, you're going to try and cross bat right in the middle. You try that when the run rate is there. Your run rate, you're chasing 8 and 8.5 and 9 at that stage. What were they thinking?
It was a perfect example tonight of chasing a low tide. You get the 30 quickly, you lose 2 wickets, and you're just looking around each other saying, oh, you'll probably do it. Or you'll probably do it. And before you know it, you've lost 7 or 8 wickets and the pressure's really on, because that run rate just starts to gather even more. And that's always in a dressing room afterwards, when you know you should have won the game. And it's just been that lack of kind of thought, that lack of really being switched on and realising the kind of game that you needed to play on that wicket against that opponent, chasing that target. They just switched off at the key moments.
Yeah, it's a reverse result of what happened
sometime
at the Wankhede.
Sweet revenge for Mumbai. That probably last year, that, you know, chasing 122, getting out for 87 cost Mumbai that season. And this year, this could be the making of them, because, you know, Mumbai, by their standards, they're the latest to wake up. They never wake up before half the tournament's over. To be 3-2 at this stage for Mumbai is brilliant.
The last 2 wins, you know, the Chennai win at the Wankhede the other evening, they were out of that game until those last 2 overs from Hardik Pandya and Kieran Pollard. Then managed to field nicely. You would say at the halfway stage, or should we say after 17 overs of batting, they'd lost the game. Then Kieran Pollard just gets them a total, and they managed to squeeze a game and win another game that really, at the halfway stage, you didn't give them any chance of winning. So they're winning some real good games that they wouldn't have expected to, the Mumbai Indians.
Yeah, I mean, if you again look at this in isolation years down the line, you'd probably say, oh my God, what kind of wicket was this? He must have been completely unplayable.
Absolutely.
Full credit to him, as you said. But it was really, you'd have to look at the Hyderabad batting as well as the contribution from someone like Rahul Chahar, who really started things off even before he came out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I loved the way all their bowlers bowled. They bowled to their plan. They kept it well. Notice they brought in Bumrah early. They never bring in Bumrah early, so they made their intent very clear up front. The other interesting thing is, if Lasith Malinga comes back, and if this is the Mumbai team who's thinking sensibly, they'll probably tell Alzarri, well done, son. Congratulations, you can sit for a while. It's back to Malinga. Because the fact of the matter is, he did his job really well. But it's not as if he's going to be their match-winning bowler every time. And I think the great thing about Mumbai is everyone came to the party. He was just the one who reaped the best rewards out of it.
Certainly did. And of course, it was a fairly simple decision that he is our MPL hero of the match, Alzarri Joseph. 3.4 overs, yes, soak this in. 6 wickets for just 12 runs, and this was his first ever IPL game. It started on the perfect note with a wicket of his very first ball.
Go downhill from that.
I just have to tell you this. The first season I remember with Brendan McCullum, and we were sitting in South Africa, season 2. We've lost 6 games in the trot. And he said, I played my first IPL game and he got 158 of 73 balls. And he said, this is easy. says, I can do this format. And he says, here I am 2 years later. So Alzarri Joseph would look at this probably and say, wow, I can play this game.
You absolutely can, yeah.
But as Michael said, whatever happens, it's going to go downhill from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Baz has never matched that.
Never come close.
Yep. Sohail Tanvir was the previous record holder for 6 for 14 is what he got. We remember that first season, that winning season for the Rajasthan Royals when it all started off under Shane Warne. But this is very different. And you have to say a quick word about Rohit Sharma's captaincy. I mean, we've talked about the different captains who have had different approaches. We talked about MS Dhoni. Rohit Sharma was on song today.
Yeah, I just like it. I mean, he's clever. The way that he manoeuvred his bowlers, the way that he brought fielders in at the right time. But I just like his manner. I always look for body language for captains out in the middle. And he just looks in control. All right, he goes asking for a few bits of advice every now and again, but he just knows what he's about. If you're having to be sent messages as a captain at this format, at this level, when you're out in the middle or you've got people running around the boundary like I saw Ashes Neera last night for the RCP, I don't like to see coaches move from the dugout. You've done your job. You don't manoeuvre around the boundary telling bowlers what to do. If you can't, it's like a football manager. You see them in football, they're in the dugout and after 3 minutes they're on the side shouting. I'm going, what did you say in the dressing room 3 minutes before? So I'm not one for things like that. I like to see the leaders out in the middle just doing the decision making. And I think in Rohit Sharma, you've got someone that's just got a nice gift of being able to lead. He doesn't shout and he doesn't brawl. He just goes about his business in a very smart and clever way. He's a good captain.
Yes, we've got some people who had to make smart decisions, and I must confess that there were going to be very few people who would have put Alzarri Joseph in, especially as he was a last-minute replacement. But if you did that, you would have stood a good chance of becoming today's MPL Super Team hero. And I'm convinced if you've got 227.5 points, and you've got the sunglasses, Ajay Keswani, you would probably have had Alzarri Joseph. I'm not sure maybe as captain, but certainly in the team. Well. I tried to sort of sneak him in, but it's the perks of not working between the time the toss happens and the first ball is bowled. Oh well, next time I'm just going to use, sneak in my phone and get the changes done with your permission. But I did mention that I was trying to get Alzarri in, if you do remember.
You did.
It's on the record.
Absolutely, it's on tape.
Yeah. Only because I happened to see him at the CPL, not because in my heart of hearts I believed he was going to actually take these many wickets. It's just sometimes sentiment that plays a part. Points table at the moment looks like this. We did say that a win for Mumbai would sneak them into that cluster of 6 because had Punjab won, they would have got to 8 points and sneak straight to the top of the table. Chennai stay there. Hyderabad now in second place with that very perfect +1 net run rate, but Mumbai sneaking into the top 4 with a pretty decent looking net run rate, and it's all clustered at the top, and things could change very quickly because 3 of the teams at the bottom there will all be playing on Super Sunday. So a chance for that points table to have a very different look by the time we are done during this weekend. Let's remind you what the 2 games are that are coming up. The first one is going to be 2 teams who have got to be desperate for a win. The Royal Challengers Bangalore 0 of 5, and the Delhi Capitals, the newly christened Delhi Capitals, have just managed 2 wins out of 5, and they'll also be desperate to turn around their recent fortunes. Let's talk about that game first. It's going to be from the Chinnaswamy Stadium. Just like for Alzarri Joseph, it can only go downwards. For the Royal Challengers, it can really only go upwards.
They've got to get a win. They were close the other night, just couldn't kind of nail those last few overs with the ball in hand. I'll be interested to see how the bowlers react because Virat gave them a bit of a volley, rightfully so, because they didn't produce any magic. When you're defending that kind of total, 50 odd off 3, you've got to be able to put the game to bed. And all right, Dre Russ got hold of him and he gets hold of many, but you've still got to be able to close out the game. I've got a feeling they might win tomorrow. I've got a feeling they might get 1 out of 6. That's what I predict tomorrow night. I think Virat's in the runs. He moved up to number 2. I like that. AB's in form. But they'll need more than just a partnership of those 2 great players. They'll need more of a team collective. I'll be interested to see how they arrive as a team because they just look a little bit disjointed to me.
Yeah, let's quickly have a look at the team actually and see if we could possibly get some changes in there, because I know you don't really want to tinker too much. Virat's the kind of captain who doesn't, but I think his hand is being forced now.
His hand has been forced, but the point is it's only for literally 48 hours since they last played. So it's a really quick turnaround for them. In many ways it's good because if you lose, you really want to move on to your next game as fast as possible and put this behind you. The only thing I can look at is that if they're looking at batsmen, I don't think Hetme has done anything enough to get in there. Stoinis is there. I would still love to see Washington Sundar in the mix because he's a very capable player and he's also capable of batting up front. You could play him in, get out, take out even a Parthiv Patel, have Akshdeep Nath keep. There are many options out there and I think you need some power. Parthiv's been among the runs so they can't do anything to him, but yeah.
I think Tim Southey will be struggling. I think they may replace him with Nathan Coulter-Nile. I think they might
He's
go.
not, but Coulter-Nile's not here.
Not available till the 23rd, so they won't be replacing him. With
but they could do what they could do is put in an Umesh Yadav and swap him around and maybe give a Grandhome a game. They could do that because they'll need another fast bowler. The thing about it is the Delhi team who bat, they like pace on the ball. So you'd be wondering whether it makes sense for them to play a lot of fast bowlers because if you look at three of Delhi's top four, Shreyas Iyer, Prithvi Shaw, Rishabh Pant and even Ingram, all of them like the ball to come on. This is their kind of pitch. So something like an Umesh Yadav also, Navdeep Saini plays to their strengths. So maybe they'd like to take pace off the ball, maybe get another spinner.
Yeah, I think the RCB need to trust.
Question mark on Siraj?
If Siraj after that can still, be in the team, be in the 11 this time, Virat Kohli is a more forgiving man than I think.
Yeah, well, he needs to trust spin more. I think he's got to just trust his spinners. His spinners Niggy was fantastic. Didn't get to bowl to Andre Russell. I don't know why. Chahal's exceptional. That he's going to get you wickets. Moeen Ali bowls good off spin. I'd trust my spinners a little bit more than the RCB team have done so far in the tournament.
I was having a chat on Twitter with someone when the whole Siraj over was happening and the game was in the balance and already he had been hit a bit and we were wondering, well, he was an RCB fan, he was saying we need to toss Siraj out for the next game and I replied by saying he's tossed himself out this game itself halfway through and over, so I don't know how he's going to make it to the next game.
Also, if you look at it, you have with somebody like Moeen Ali, you have so many left-handed batsmen out there and with 3 left-handed batsmen in your top 5, Moeen Ali would be really useful. You need to give him the ball and Moeen Ali is in the team and not bowling, it just doesn't seem to make sense.
Delhi side, on the other hand, they'll be the visiting team, also desperate to try and put some more points on the board. Bangalore, of course, don't have any at the moment. And again, they started looking good, looking like they've got a new combination with a new name. But somehow those collapses, that one particular collapse really was inexplicable. I mean, everyone's talking about it as much as they'll talk about the Ray Russells and of course now Alzarri Joseph. But how do they turn that around, especially mentally? Because they've got some very experienced coaching staff, to say the least.
They just have to win. It's one of those things. It's very difficult to say. You can say all you want to, but just luck needs to favor them a little. They need to tell themselves. And you see, what happens is, against a team who's absolutely down and out, so RCB has nothing to lose. So the RCB dressing room will be very relaxed before this match because they'll say, they'll go kamikaze. We have nothing to lose. Delhi's on the cusp of a season. It's 2 and 3, somewhere in the middle. They lose one more, they're starting to, the contenders are starting to run away from them. So Delhi has far more to lose in this match in that sense. And I think they'll be tighter. So it's really important, what the kind of a mental game Ponting and all does with them. And because they're a young team, they're not a very experienced team. 4 of their top batsmen, only Dhawan and Colin Ingram are experienced out there. The rest of them are young bloods, waiting to run in. So yeah,
I think it needs a Shikhar Dhawan performance, because there is a lot of youth in that team, and the loss to Kings will affect a younger team because when you collapse and everyone's still talking about it, it does affect you. So you need your senior players to stand up. And Shikhar Dhawan, he's kind of looked okay, but he now needs to go on. It'll be a great wicket for him tomorrow evening, and he's got to really stand tall and say, okay, juniors, you come and play your game. You're in the side to play your natural game. We're going to expect a little bit of inconsistency. You need consistency from your senior player, and he's got to step up tomorrow night.
Yeah, certainly does. That's not the only game we have. We have another one in the evening. That is going to be the Kolkata Knight Riders, who are away in Jaipur against the Rajasthan Royals. Pink and purple. That's quite a colour combination that we're going to have out there. And again, there'll be strange emotions going on out there because we've seen some confidence from the Kolkata unit. But Rajasthan too, a bit like the other teams at that bottom 4, will be desperate for points.
They'll be desperate for points. I think Kolkata has looked a very strong season again. Kolkata has exactly the same problem at this point in time that Sunrisers Hyderabad have. That's their finishers, instead of, in SRH's case, it's the openers, their finishers are doing so well that their middle order is still not being really exposed. The fact of the matter is, Shubman Gill hasn't really got runs. Nitish Rana's got a few. Robin has, made very pretty 40s and 50s but failed to complete it. And they're all getting through because that man has been so brilliant at the end. And that man cannot, he is human. At least I think he's human. I'm not completely sure.
I think wins like they got against RCB just galvanise a group. When you win, I know it's an individual that's got them over the line, but when you get that win and you're in the team room and you just feel the warmth of a great victory and energy, and you get on the plane and you get to Jaipur, you'd expect their performance levels to be pretty good. Whereas the Rajasthan Royals throughout the tournament have been good. They've only won one game, but I think they've competed in every single game. They call home their fortress. So again, I think it's going to be a real tight one. Very, very tough to call who's going to win tomorrow night, because two teams that will feel that they're playing some decent quality cricket. So it'll just be on the night. Can you get a Dre Russ? Can you get a Joss Butler? Can you get a Ben Stokes? Can you get a Sanju Samson? These kind of players, whichever teams can get two or three of their individuals having high-class games, it'll be the team that goes on to win the game.
Abhideep just reminded me that both teams have just come off a win against RCB. Does that count? I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. But no, just coming back to your point and trying to play devil's advocate here. Yes, they'll be on a high after that. Is there a danger of being on too much of a high to almost rest on your laurels? You've got to tell yourself, let's come down to earth, because Russell starts on 0, the whole team starts on 0. Yeah,
and again, the kind of the management of the KKR, if they're a smart management group, will have got the team in the room and said, come on, let's be honest. We got over the line because of Dre Russ. We need more of a collective. We need to be a little bit smarter. We need to just stand up a little bit more. So Chris Lynn's looking okay, but he got in and got out. Your job, Chris, is to make sure that when you get in, you stay and you're there till about the 17th over. Bowling units, they look okay, but they're not firing as what I would expect. But they're a consistent team that generally makes the final four, and I don't see anything that I've seen this year that would suggest that they're not going to make the final four, because they've got too much quality, they've got too much depth, and they're a well-organised unit. So looking forward to tomorrow night's game.
Not much chat about personnel really, as far as that team is concerned.
No, Kolkata, they're not going to change much at all. I think this is their settled, fixed unit. Expect this to play, barring injury, almost all the way through. They know, and Kolkata very much plays like that. They have a team they depend on, and they say that these the guys are going to deliver it for us. They will not make too many changes unless they really need to.
I'm surprised that Lockie Ferguson, he had a bit of a difficult night the other night. I wonder if they'll consider playing Harry Gurney. Harry Gurney's had exceptional winter playing T20 leagues. He's pretty much won every single league. His left arm, as he bowls nicely at the death, he bowls back of the hand, slower balls, and it's not an easy pitch to bowl on. So I just wonder if they might think about bringing Harry Gurney into the team.
They could, and this is, remember, these are big boundaries, so the slow bowlers get a bit out of here because you have slight bit more protection. And Chinnaswamy, you don't have any protection at all. You slight bit. They could. That's the only position they probably look at, because who else could you won't replace Carlos Brathwaite, who doesn't have a chance while Russell is in that kind of form. The rest just pick themselves at this point in time.
Brett, I was going to say that KKR have the most muscular cheerleader of all teams in Carlos Brathwaite. But Harry Gurney, I like his sense of humor, because you realize that he's going to try and push for a place in the team. And the other day at the event for the mobile phone company, their sponsor, we were trying to get them to do the best line, take a good selfie and give the best line with it. So he said, I take A, the best selfies, but B, you can take a selfie while I bowl and get to the other end and I can face the ball. That's my slower one. So he's proud of that slower one. And then he added, he said, even my quicker one, you could do that.
He's a good bowler. He's smart. He bowls, at the front. He bowls at the back end. Bowls over the wicket, round the wicket. He's a smart. Well, he's had a tremendous winter. Quit red ball cricket. He's quit the longer format. He's just a T20 specialist now.
Also, if I had to drop Lockie, I'd drop him just for that moustache.
That
is
get rid of that.
Terrible look. That's
Can't bowl well with that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's probably a tradition in the franchise, but I guess if you have to say, Chris Lynn, remember he used to have that one.
No, that's not a moustache. That's a caterpillar. That's his pet caterpillar. He just keeps it out there.
Keeps it there. That's how you carry your pets around when it's not a pet-friendly place. But what about moving from purple to pink? What about the Rajasthan Royals? Do they need to make a few changes? On paper, every time you look at this team and you say, wow, Smith, Butler, Tripathi, Stokes, Archer, and Shreyas Gopal bowling well. Doesn't seem to be anything wrong on paper except the results.
Yeah. I don't think there'll be any change, do you?
I don't reckon they'll go anywhere else.
Sanju Samson is the one name.
Sanju Samson will come back if he's fit. But other than that, they can't. Also, remember, Shreyas Gopal has bowled well for them. Stuart Binney didn't bowl very much. He bowled 1 over for them. So if Sanju Samson comes in, he'll probably replace Binney straight off. It'll be a one-off swap. Jaydev, on the kind of form he is in currently, I don't think they'll risk him. Nobody else really looks like forcing his way through. What I'd love to be seeing is business end of the Kolkata innings, Jofra Archer bowling to Trey Russell. If there's one challenge, that's a challenge. Can you hit Jofra Archer? Though Jofra Archer is a speed, so he could go, but I reckon it won't be that easy to hit him.
One thing's for sure is that Rajasthan Royals would have had probably about a 7-hour meeting today trying to discuss what we do when Jerry comes out to the middle. Who's going to bowl, what the taxi is going to be, has anyone got anything that we could produce?
I can tell you the one man who has a lot of expertise who will be leading that conversation in the dressing room. It'll be Ben Stokes. He knows all about being hit by big Caribbeans into the stands.
Yeah, and he'll be looking to the dugout and looking at Carlos and thinking, thank God you're not playing as well. But that's what generally happens in teams when you come up against someone like Trey Russ, that you just ask around, has anyone got any kind of information that we could just throw at him to make it a little bit different to what he's faced so far in the tournament? I would think it'll probably be leg spin.
The only thing tougher than that run chase for the Sunrisers Hyderabad today was the question posed by Joy Bhattacharjya at the start of the day. Normally we are inundated with responses. We still were. We still had thousands of responses. They were all incorrect. So Joy, can you please shed some light on this matter?
It was a nasty question and not badly phrased, but phrased just to challenge these guys because they're so good normally that you needed to put in something to make sure. So the question was, though their cricket records are in just the opposite, in which other field is an Indian World Cup winning fast bowler around 6 times more than an Australian World Cup winning fast bowler? The two bowlers are Brett Lee and Srishant. Srishant's band is called S36. Brett Lee is called 6 and Out. And it was a rocket. So Kanishk managed to get there somewhere. Kanishk managed to get to the fact that it's Saina. He managed to get to the fact that it's Brett Lee and Srishant, but after that he started talking about movies and all. But Brett Lee, do you know Brett Lee has a credit in a movie much before the Indian films?
I know, it's Babe.
Exactly, and you know what he was?
He was he dug out the pig manure, didn't he?
Yes, he was a pig specialist in Babe. Now,
is he the winner?
This man knows the real things in life.
Thank you very much.
There you go. He has not managed to sit on the MPL Super Couch yet, but he's cracked a question even tougher than a one that Joy set for all of you.
Assistant pig handler in Babe.
Yeah,
how did you know that?
Because
Fabulous.
I've just spent the winter in Australia and I got bored on occasions.
Says, that's another sledge coming. Get to Australia and get bored, but I do think we should give some credit because it's actually getting Srishant, apart from to Michael, to get Srishant, to get Brett Lee. I must confess I was completely stumped with that. I wasn't cheating. I didn't ask Joy the answer. The only thing I was thinking of Dancing with the Stars and 1 versus 6. And then 6 and Out came, but I had no idea about Srishant, so I didn't get any further than that.
Srishant, the only thing I haven't figured out is what does he do in the group? Does he play guitar? Does he sing? Nobody's quite sure, but it's his group.
Can you dance in a group? Is that counted as a group? He probably just does that.
He does,
right? There's a guitarist, there's a drummer, there's a vocalist, and there's a dancer. Why can't you have a group like that? Simple. If you can't sing, if you're like me and you're tone deaf, that's what you do. Just jump around and pretend you can dance. Well, that's been an interesting end to the day. We have finished before midnight, folks. It's going to be good night on Saturday, not good morning on Sunday. So before it ticks over to Sunday, thank you, Joy. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Should look forward to another exciting day's cricket. MPL presents Cricbuzz Live. We'll be back tomorrow.